Right, good to be back. Good to be back. Um, Boxing's been pretty hot the last, really all summer. It's been pretty hot. Had a good summer. Want to do a little review video on Kambosos versus Maxie Hughes. Um, you know, Fight itself, it was what it was. It wasn't the most scintillating, but knowing what I do with Maxie Hughes being more of a, slick boxer and George Kambosos being a counterpuncher, those styles generally don't gel too well. So, kind of managing expectations, was what it was though. Um, quite honest, man, I thought Maxie Hughes straight up got robbed. You know, I thought at the most competitive, maybe you could have had it 8 rounds to 4 in Hughes' favor, but I actually agreed with ESPN's scorecard. I thought it should have been 9 rounds to 3. And Maxie Hughes, he had good footwork. The jab was real good. He was landing the straight left pretty religiously. And George Kambosos, he just struggled with that style, like a lot of counterpunchers do. It's a difference between being a boxer and being a counterpuncher. I mean, sometimes you got fighters that can do both, but Kambosos' case, he's more of a counterpuncher. He don't got the footwork to mess with boxers. That's why Devin Haney beat him so bad, the second time. And my man that was announcing the fight, I think his name is Joe Tessitore for ESPN. Trying to say, he wasn't trying to take credit away from Devin Haney, but it could be just a style that is just a bad matchup. And, he partially right. He just don't do well with boxers. Don't matter if they're orthodox, southpaw. Devin had obviously more separation in his victory, but to me, it was still enough separation for Hughes where he clearly won the fight. The jab was really good. His footwork was really good. That left hand couldn't miss. George Kambosos, he got a little bit more momentum in the second half of the fight. Started to land the left hook a little bit more, the sweeping left specifically. When you deal with a southpaw and you're a conventional fighter, you really got to learn to land the right hand. And it seems like it's becoming a lost art of throwing straight punches. And he couldn't land the straight right hand for nothing. But once he learned to kind of throw some decoy right hands and then follow with the left, he started to land it. But it was, too far and few between. Wasn't consistent. He definitely wasn't able to push Maxie Hughes back, which is really what he needed to do to close the gap. And, his coach, what they should have worked on if he was going to fight that style is they should have used feints. A lot of feints to bait the boxer. Kind of give him like a false sense of security. Basically lead him into traps. And, that way he can follow it with the right hand. Now, he had the right idea the second half of the fight and just, throwing decoy rights to land the left, but he couldn't do it consistently. And that's part because he didn't have his jab. His coach was asking him to throw the jab. But the reason why his jab, and I know it's hard to land a jab in a conventional fighter on a southpaw, but part of the reason why his jab wasn't much effective is because from where he was throwing it, he throwing it from damn near his hip. And I don't know, a lot of these fighters, they, try to mimic Roy Jones and, other unconventional athletic fighters, but unless you got Roy Jones speed, you really don't need to be fighting like Roy Jones. He got to learn to bring his hands up. It's not just for defensive purposes. It's also so you can get off from point A to point B. And George Kambosos, him not having a jab to set up the right hand, to set up the hook, if that's what he wanted to do, it's not going to work. And Maxie Hughes did a good job. The only thing I would have said Hughes should have done more is follow up. He would land a good punch here and there, but he never threw combinations. He never put his stamp on the good work that he's due. He landed a lot of good counter left hands. He landed some, good 1-2s, but he never followed up. He never threw combinations. It was always 1 or 2 shots. And you gotta realize when you're not the house fighter, because I think George Kambosos just signed a 2-fight deal, a 3-fight deal with ESPN, something like that. So that's another reason why, you gotta show step. You got to put your exclamation mark. You don't, because he's not a big puncher, so you can't just say, oh well, just knock him out. Life don't work that way. Oh, we'll just do this. It don't work that way. But you gotta show as much separation as possible. You can't be satisfied with just landing 1 or 2 shots. And I know that's easier said than done, but you gotta realize your situation. And it's unfortunate. And Tim Bradley spoke on it, about because I as soon as I heard when the judges said 114, I knew they robbed him. Once you hear that kind of scorecard, because that fight was not that close. And as soon as you heard 114, you knew they robbed this dude. And, you hate to see it in boxing. Especially when you got 2 huge fights coming up next week. You feel bad for Maxie Hughes. He had a great performance. Like Tim Bradley said, these dudes put their lives on the line. They risk a lot. He put a lot into training camp, the effort. And then, he did what he was supposed to do. He won, and he won, honestly, it wasn't that close. That's why it felt like a robbery. It wasn't like a nip and tuck type of fight, but, you hate to see this kind of foolishness in boxing, but Tim Bradley right. Boxing needs like the boxers need a union or something. They definitely need to get like a union or basically a commission because, comes to bad scoring. How do you fix the bad scoring? I mean, there's a lot of under the table stuff that goes on in boxing. Boxing is one of the dirtiest sports. Boxing and international soccer. But if one of the ways to help clean up the sport, you definitely got to have the judges come up to the media, just like you have these fighters when they get knocked out or get beat up in the ring or they lose tough, heartbreaking fights, and they got to answer to the media. Same thing, the judges got to answer to the media, put them on the spotlight. I don't know why they ask dudes who literally got their heads beat in for a half hour, 40 minutes. They got to answer questions, but the people that scored the fight, they don't got to answer questions. That's bull job. So it's not like there aren't ways to help fix the corruption. But I would say that's definitely one of the ways. One, boxing needs a commission. And then number 2, they got to put these refs and judges on the podium, just like they do these fighters and trainers. Have them answer to it. Like, how did you score the fight? Why did you score the fight like this? What were you looking for when you were scoring it? There's too much inconsistencies that goes on in boxing, bro. This dude is moving like an inch per second. My God. Sorry, I'm driving right now. But, problem is with boxing, for that to happen, these dudes got to come together. It's got to be boxers of yesterday and boxers of today. They got to form a union or form some kind of governing body where they can have more regulation to have this kind of stuff under control. All right, looks like he's moving finally. But, it's just my little thoughts on it. Hate to see it happen. Hopefully Maxie Hughes can get another fight or something. Bare minimum, because this was some bull. He easily won that fight. It's nothing against George Kambosos. I think he's a solid fighter, but that's definitely a crutch for him in his career. And it sounds like he's going to fight either Lomachenko or Shakur Stevenson. He won the eliminator bout. So whoever's the IBF, when Devin Haney loses the belts, good chance he's going to fight for a vacant IBF title. So it's probably going to either be Shakur Stevenson or Lomachenko. So we'll see what happens. But, man, I hate to see this stuff happen in boxing. But drop in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Did you think it was robbery? You think it was a close fight? Think he should just shut up and deal with it? Let me know what you guys think. Catch you out later.